Capitalism, the system where business owners get rich by hiring workers and paying them peanuts for their labor. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Reece, and in today's video, I'm going to be doing a deep dive on the topic of capitalism. I wanted to get a better understanding of what capitalism is, considering our society is kind of in a capitalistic society, and I want to determine for myself whether or not I believe it is a good or bad thing. So stick around and let's go on this journey together to figure out what capitalism is and if it's a good or bad thing. So let's start by gaining an understanding of what a true capitalist society would look like, and in simple terms it would be privatization of the economy. It would allow individuals to privatize the production of goods and services. It would also allow those individuals to own capital goods such as land, businesses, and raw materials. These goods and services could then be produced by these individuals based on supply and demand requirements, practically without any restrictions. And these individuals get to decide on almost every aspect of this process. They get to decide on how and what they're producing, where their profits get invested, and they get to set the sale price on the product that they're manufacturing. Essentially, they can own every aspect of this process. They can own the land that their factory is built upon. They can own the building that their factory operates out of, and they can own the materials coming into the factory that then get turned into a product which they still own, ready for sale. One key important piece of information is that the workers working inside of that institution do not own any part of the business. They are only entitled to their wage once they complete their work. In a capitalist society, the people are the ones who make their decisions on how to build their wealth. It is not decided by any central government. I can go out into the world and work in exchange for money, and I can do the opposite too. I can hire people for their labor in exchange for a wage. I can choose to sell my property to another person for whatever price I want, assuming that I can find a buyer, and vice versa. Someone can come to me and offer me something in exchange for my property, generally in the form of money, and they can offer me whatever they want. I don't have to accept it, but they are allowed to do that, and if I agree, we can exchange, let's say, money for that property. Now, I've really tried to give some very specific examples because they're going to tie into the rest of the video. What I've talked about is what a true capitalistic society would look like, which is not reflective of our current society, to be clear. So with that explanation out of the way, the main objective of capitalism is to acquire more through wealth building. Increasing profits is the defining factor for its existence. Now, when looking at the pros of capitalism, the concept seems pretty impressive. It drives two very important things, innovation and competition, which kind of becomes a feedback loop where as more competition comes onto the scene, companies need to innovate to make themselves or keep themselves relevant and competitive, which is a good thing for the economy. This generally improves the quality of goods and services that companies produce because it's in their best interest to give you the best possible product for the price that you're going to pay. And this in turn as well generally drives prices of products down because in the market, when there's lots of options, to be competitive, companies do their very best to sell you the product for the cheapest they possibly can while still making a profit. And I say generally because this isn't always the case, and I'll touch on this when I discuss the cons in a moment. Another pro for capitalism is that it generally encourages people to build wealth, which is a good thing. If people build their wealth, their standard of living generally rises because they're able to afford nicer things. They might be able to afford different types of insurances. They might just in general have a better standard of living because they can afford quality food, quality products, whatever it may be. This generally is the trend we see as people build their wealth. And finally, capitalism promotes individual freedom. In a capitalist society, we all have a choice. We can choose to buy what we want, when we want, and from who we want. So with the pros out of the way, what are the cons? This is what I really wanted to talk about in today's video. I really wanted to get a better understanding because I know we are in a capitalistic society or a somewhat capitalistic society, and I really wanted to get a more in-depth understanding of why it's a bad thing. One of the biggest issues with capitalism is its ability to drive wealth inequality. It does not promote equal opportunity. Let's just take a look at our favorite bald person, Jeff Bezos. He has accumulated a net worth of approximately $190 billion at the time of recording this video. He employs about 1 million people in the United States for Amazon alone, and it's estimated that he makes the annual salary of his lowest paid employee every 11.5 seconds. There is a clear disparity when looking at capitalism from this point of view. And it's not only wealth inequality inequality for people, but also competing companies. It's very common for large companies to consume smaller competition and then hold a monopoly over both other companies who are competitors and their customers. This is actually more common than you might think. And to give you a very real world example, let's look at the company AB InBev. Now, you've probably never heard of this company, but I can almost guarantee that you would have heard of their products. They are the world's largest brewing company, and they own popular brands like Corona and Budweiser, and they hold an absolute monopoly over the beer market worldwide. In the United States, they own nearly a 50% market share, and that percentage is much higher in other locations around the world. Now, that is a very serious con and definitely one to keep in the back of your mind. Another con in some instances is when we see the price of goods and services rise caused by what is known as asymmetric information. This is where a producer or a consumer might hold more knowledge about a specific topic, which causes a disbalance in the knowledge or information about that topic. As an example, imagine someone intending to insure their car. Now, that owner has all the knowledge about how that car is maintained and looked after. Is that car garaged? How many kilometers does it do each year? And so on. The company that's going to insure that vehicle will be completely in the dark and basically have to go off of the word of the owner. And this is where you might see the insurance premiums for all customers increasing because the company needs to account for potential losses based on customers lying to them. Back to my car insurance example, imagine if the owner of that vehicle drove at 500 kilometers a day and parked it in a location or neighborhood with a high crime rate, but told the insurer that he only drives the car 1 day a week and it's garaged every single day. Now, there are solutions for this where companies will audit their customers and determine how insurance premiums are calculated based on lots of different parameters like suburbs, locations, and the type of vehicle that they are going to be insuring. And this actually does take place. Companies do this, and this is how insurance premiums differ between different people based on their living situations, the car that they're driving, and the location that they live. So that was con number 2. Now moving on to the final con of capitalism, and in my opinion, it is the most important of today's video. It's known as crony capitalism. Crony capitalism better reflects the type of capitalism our society is experiencing today. Businesses in countries like Australia and the United States succeed based on favoritism shown to them by their governments. They are offered massive incentives such as tax breaks and grants to grow their business. As one very simple example, without even needing to go deep, in 2018, Amazon projected profits of $11 billion before tax. Funnily enough, they paid $0 in tax for that financial year because they were able to capitalize on the generous tax breaks and grants that were offered to them by the government. Now, the reason why the government offers these incentives is a topic for another video. So if you were interested in seeing what that was and didn't want to miss out, definitely hit that like and subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on bell notifications so you don't miss out when I make that video. Now, my thoughts on this topic is that capitalism would be pretty damn good in its truest form because it would be fair for everyone. However, people are greedy, and this in turn drives people to bend the rules to favor them, which hurts others. Although the government might interject to stop individual companies from becoming too big, this definitely hasn't stopped corporations from absolutely steamrolling smaller competition and driving prices up. And I'm referring to companies like Disney, Amazon, and Google, just to name a few. Ultimately, I don't believe that capitalism has a place in our society. I believe that greed has kind of consumed us, myself included, and we've lost touch with our sense of community and helping others. I am planning to investigate the alternatives to capitalism. I am interested in seeing if I can find a suitable substitution that would belong in our society because of my thoughts that I've just projected onto the screen, where I don't believe capitalism is the best thing for our society. So if you're interested in that, definitely stick around and subscribe to the channel because I will be making a video about it in the near future. For now, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope that it was insightful, and I hope you got something out of it. If you did, like I said, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. I really do appreciate the support. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.